Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to take a moment and imagine what your life would look like if you no longer cared what anyone thought. No hesitations, no second guessing, no constant need for approval. Imagine waking up each morning fueled not by fear of judgment, but by the fire of your own purpose. The truth is, most of us spend decades trying to fit into boxes that were never made for us, letting other people's opinions define our choices, our actions, our very destiny. But what if I told you that freedom, the real electrifying kind of freedom, starts the moment you stop asking permission to live your life? The moment you dare to step into your truth, to embrace your passion, to follow the path that calls you, you unlock a power inside you that no criticism, no ridicule, no naysayer can ever touch. Tonight, I want to challenge you, push you, ignite a spark inside you that refuses to be dimmed. Because your life is not meant to be a reflection of others. It's meant to be an eruption of your purpose, a testament to what is possible when courage wins over comfort. Authenticity conquers fear, and you decide, once and for all, to live unapologetically on your terms. Freedom is not just a word, it's a state of being. A vibration you feel when you're fully aligned with your truth, when your actions are no longer dictated by the expectations of others. Most people live their lives in a subtle prison, built brick by brick from the opinions, judgments, and validation of those around them. From childhood, we are conditioned to seek approval, to perform, to conform, to meet invisible standards that are never truly ours. We adjust our words, our behavior, even our dreams, because we want to be liked, respected, or accepted. And in that pursuit, we trade our authenticity for temporary comfort. But the moment you recognize that the approval of others is neither necessary nor sustainable, a powerful shift occurs. Suddenly, you are no longer living in reaction to what other people think. You are living in response to what your soul demands, to what your heart whispers, to what your purpose calls you to do. This is the essence of freedom, the ability to choose your life, your path, your destiny, without being tethered to the invisible chains of societal expectation. It's about realizing that no one has the power to define your worth, your potential, or your direction unless you give it to them. Seeking approval is a trap because it conditions you to be small, cautious, and ultimately unfulfilled. Approval is external and temporary, whereas purpose and alignment are internal and everlasting. When you stop seeking approval, you reclaim time, energy, and focus. You stop spending hours worrying about what others think of your choices, your appearance, your decisions, and instead, pour that energy into growth, action, and impact. You discover that the more you honor your own path, the more confident, vibrant, and magnetic you become. People will notice your authenticity, your conviction, your passion, not because you conform to their expectations, but because you are fully yourself. True freedom is not about rebellion for the sake of rebellion. It's about stepping into a space where your decisions are rooted in clarity, courage, and self-respect. It's about understanding that life is too short to live in the shadow of approval and too precious to be dictated by fleeting opinions. And when you begin to live from this place, everything changes. The way you see yourself, the way you interact with the world, and the way opportunities align. Because you are no longer living as a reflection of others, but as a true expression of who you were always meant to be. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to move forward despite it, to take action even when every part of you wants to stay safe, comfortable, and unnoticed. Each of us carries dreams, visions, and potential that whisper to us in moments of quiet, yet too often we ignore them because stepping toward them feels risky. Courage is the bridge between who we are and who we are meant to become, the connection between our current reality and the life that calls us. Without it, purpose remains an abstract idea, a distant horizon that we admire but never reach. Think about every meaningful achievement, every great leap in human history. None of it was accomplished by someone waiting for approval, playing it safe, or shrinking from the unknown. Courage is the fuel that transforms intention into action. It's the spark that ignites possibility, the energy that propels you forward when fear tries to hold you back. It doesn't mean that you never doubt yourself or that challenges disappear. It means you acknowledge the fear, respect it, but refuse to let it dictate your choices. When you embrace courage, you start to see setbacks as lessons, criticism as information, and uncertainty as a doorway rather than a barrier. The path to purpose is rarely straight, and courage is what allows you to keep moving when the road twists, when the world doubts you, when everything inside you screams to quit. Every time you step forward in courage, you reinforce a truth that your life is not determined by circumstance, by others' opinions, or by the comfort of familiarity, but by your willingness to show up fully despite the discomfort. Courage is contagious. When you act boldly, you inspire others to act boldly as well. It creates momentum, shifts energy, and opens doors that no amount of hesitation or planning could unlock. Purpose is not discovered in complacency. It is uncovered through action, through risk, through the willingness to confront the fear that whispers you can't. Every courageous choice you make strengthens your confidence, sharpens your clarity, and brings you closer to living a life that resonates with meaning and impact. The bridge of courage is built one step at a time, and while the journey can feel daunting, the rewards are immeasurable because they are aligned with your truest self and your highest calling. Authenticity is the rarest form of power because it is completely unshakable. When you are authentic, you are operating in alignment with your true self, free from masks, pretenses, or the endless need to please others. Most people spend their lives performing, adapting, modifying, and shaping themselves to fit expectations that are not their own. This constant striving for approval drains energy, clouds judgment, and keeps potential locked behind invisible barriers. But the moment you embrace authenticity, something remarkable happens. You become magnetic. People are drawn to truth, to honesty, to the raw expression of a person who is fully themselves. Authenticity is not about perfecti. It's about courage. The courage to show up as you are, even when it is uncomfortable, even when it defies norms, even when it risks criticism. There is an extraordinary liberation in being unapologetically you, because the alternative, living a life dictated by what others think, is a slow erosion of spirit. Every choice to honor your authenticity is a choice to reclaim power, to stand in your own light, to reject the shadows of expectation. It allows your voice to be heard clearly, your decisions to be made confidently, and your actions to resonate with impact. When you are authentic, you no longer waste energy pretending to be someone else. Every ounce of effort becomes focused on growth, contribution, and alignment with your purpose. Authenticity also breeds resilience. Criticism becomes less threatening, fear becomes less paralyzing, and obstacles are approached with a clarity that comes from knowing exactly who you are and what you stand for. There's a magnetic ripple effect. When you embrace your truth, you give others permission to do the same. You inspire courage in ways that words alone cannot achieve, creating environments where honesty, creativity, and individuality flourish. Authenticity is the foundation upon which lasting influence and deep fulfillment are built, because no achievement, no recognition, no success feels meaningful if it requires sacrificing your core identity. Living authentically transforms relationships, opportunities, and self-perception. It's a declaration that your life belongs to you, not to the judgments of others. Every step you take in alignment with your true self draws you closer to purpose, fuels confidence, and ignites a sense of empowerment that cannot be replicated by conformity, imitation, or superficial approval. When authenticity guides your actions, you move through the world with an energy that is unmistakable, magnetic, and unstoppable. Fear of judgment is one of the most paralyzing forces that keeps people from living fully, yet it is entirely constructed by the mind. We convince ourselves that others' opinions define our value, that criticism reflects truth, and that avoiding scrutiny is essential for safety. But the reality is that judgment exists outside of us. It is fleeting, subjective, and often irrelevant. People judge from their own experiences, insecurities, and perspectives, and their opinions are rarely an accurate reflection of who we are or what we are capable of. When we let the fear of judgment control our choices, we surrender our freedom, shrink our potential, and rob the world of our unique contribution. The truth is, the only approval that matters is your own, the quiet voice inside that knows your purpose, understands your worth, and feels the fire of your passion. Every moment spent worrying about what others might think is a moment taken from action, growth, and fulfillment. Judgment is an illusion because it carries power only when we grant it to others. Once you see it for what it is, a transient thought, an external projection, a fleeting opinion, you can begin to release its grip. Fear of judgment often disguises itself as caution, humility, or responsibility, but it is really a form of self-imposed limitation. It tells you to wait, to shrink, to compromise, to settle for comfort over calling, and it convinces you that the path of least resistance is the safest. But the safest path rarely leads to significance, impact, or meaning. courage, authenticity, and purpose flourish when judgment loses its authority over your choices. Every time you act despite criticism, every time you speak your truth despite disapproval, you weaken the illusion and strengthen your confidence. You realize that people will always have opinions, that some will resist, some will misunderstand, and some will try to pull you into their expectations. But none of it can stop the force of someone who refuses to be confined by fear. Fear of judgment is an invisible chain, and breaking it requires awareness, practice, and a deep commitment to yourself. When you let go of this fear, you reclaim your energy, your focus, and your vision. You see opportunities instead of obstacles, solutions instead of limits, and potential instead of threat. The moment you stop giving weight to judgment, you step fully into your own power. Your creativity expands, and your life becomes a reflection of courage, conviction, and the unstoppable pursuit of purpose. Every choice you make, every action you take, every word you speak carries a message, whether you realize it or not. Your life itself is the most powerful form of communication, far louder and more enduring than any speech, social post, or attempt at persuasion. When you live in alignment with your purpose, when you act with integrity, courage, and authenticity, your life broadcasts a message that cannot be ignored. It tells the world who you are, what you value, and what is possible when someone refuses to be limited by fear, judgment, or the opinions of others. Too many people underestimate the influence of their daily choices, believing that only extraordinary achievements or public recognition carry meaning. But the truth is, consistency in living your truth is what creates impact, inspires change, and leaves a legacy. Every small decision to act in alignment with your values, to speak up when it matters, to pursue what ignites your passion, adds to the narrative of your life. This message is not about perfection or approval. It is about authenticity, commitment, and the courage to honor your calling. When you understand that your life is a message, you begin to see obstacles, criticism, and fear differently. They are not deterrents. They are opportunities to reinforce your message by demonstrating resilience, determination, and self-belief. People are drawn not to flawless lives, but to lives that exemplify courage, clarity, and purpose. Your choices ripple far beyond your immediate circle. They inspire, challenge, and empower others to step into their own truth. Living with the awareness that your life is a message also shifts your perspective on time, priorities, and legacy. You begin to ask yourself whether the decisions you make today align with the story you want to tell, the impact you want to leave, and the inspiration you hope to create. It encourages intentionality in every interaction, every pursuit, and every goal, because each moment contributes to the greater narrative of who you are becoming. When you fully embrace this principle, life transforms from a series of random events into a powerful expression of purpose. You move with intention, speak with clarity, and act with the certainty that your life is a beacon, a statement, and a reflection of your deepest convictions. And as you live this way, the people around you feel it. They're inspired, challenged, and motivated, not by words alone, but by the undeniable power of a life lived boldly, authentically, and unapologetically. A life that communicates purpose louder than any message ever could.